it is outrageous that we're watching the decimation of a 2-decade tradition.
They reached out to us and we accepted their offer.
To Kari Lake, it looked like a double cross, and she had a point. Her Democratic opponent for governor, Katie Hobbs, somehow got a televised interview she wasn't supposed to get after refusing to debate Lake on TV. And the interview Lake was supposed to get was canceled. The fiasco triggered by PBS's decision to interview Katie Hobbs this coming week has mushroomed into a political mess, engulfing PBS, ASU President Michael Crow, with Republican members of the legislature piling on. Our political insiders join us now to cut through the noise for the most important takeaways. Joining us are Penich-Thacker, Chief Executive Officer of the Democratic consulting firm Agave Strategy, and longtime Republican activist Tyler Montague. Welcome back to Square Off.
Thank you.
Before we get going, any disclosures on this subject, connections to the people or organizations involved? Don?
I do teach at Arizona State University, though I have nothing to do with PBS.
Okay, good to know. Tyler?
I'm independent here.
Independent, okay. I have to say, last week on the show, we talked about an October surprise involving what was going to happen this past week. Never expected this. The story's still unfolding, though. What appears to be certain is Katie Hobbs will have a televised one-on-one interview on Arizona PBS on Tuesday. I want to start with the big picture. Candidate debates were unfortunately already kind of a dying fixture of political life. Many candidates just refused to participate in these clean elections debate lower down the ballot. I'll start with you, Don. What does this fiasco, do you think, mean for the future of clean elections candidate debates in Arizona in 2024 or beyond?
Well, it's not just the future. I think a lot of voters don't realize that candidates on both sides are constantly turning down debate invitations. The debates that we see are the small minority where the candidates have actually agreed to be there. The vast majority of candidates don't go on the debates that they're invited to. So this isn't just the future. I think that this is, unfortunately for Arizona's democracy, a kind of dying genre, and that clean elections and the news outlets in this town probably need to sit down and figure out what to do going forward, because this is not working, and it's not even working for candidates for the most part, because they just all end up looking messy.
Well, they just seem to be avoiding each other, right? You'll have Republicans not showing up when they think they're in a district they're going to win. You have Democrats not showing up when they think they're in a district they're going to win. What's the future?
If you're the winner, it's all risk for you to take one of these debates. So they don't do it. And if you are a bad debater, it's all risk for you. So you don't want to get yourself caught. And I think that's what's going on here. Katie Hobbs is known to not be really quick on her feet and a good debater. And Kari Lake is a professional career presenter. So I don't think she wanted to get on that stage.
So PBS inserted itself into this by breaking with the Clean Elections Commission, their partner, and deciding to offer Katie Hobbs an interview she shouldn't have received under clean elections rules, which, by the way, are law. And I do want to make one thing clear. ASU was not accused of breaking, or PBS, they're not accused of breaking a contract here. It was an agreement. And PBS could do this, and they went ahead and did this. Should they have done this?
Well, I get why Clean Elections is mad. The way they have it set up is that if you come debate, you both get a chance, and if you refuse debate, the punishment for you, the incentive is that now your opponent gets a free 30-minute commercial, essentially. And so when PBS violated that and went ahead and gave Katie Hobbs hers, Clean Elections was mad. They should be mad. That's not the way it should have been done.
See, I see that differently. I think that Clean Elections threw a little bit of a tantrum. They are a partner, but they do not run PBS. Like any media outlet, PBS's number one obligation is to get information out to their viewers. If the viewers want to hear from the two candidates for governor, I think there is no problem in PBS saying, that's what we're going to do.
Some of the most telling behavior, to my mind, was that PBS never told Clean Elections they were doing this, and as late as very, very recently, still had not told Clean Elections.
They knew they were undermining them, and that would not be a popular decision.
And so now Michael Crow, the president of Arizona State University, is being dragged into this. He clearly knew about the decision. He said, kind of what you did, voters should know, get information from the candidates. They need to hear for them. Kari Lake is making threats against Michael Crow. What's that telling us about how she might conduct herself as governor.
Yeah, she is out there doing what we have seen her doing and what we know that she will continue doing because we've already seen a Trump, administration. She's making violent threats. She's asking her supporters to call and harass. The people who answer the phones at ASU are getting constant harassment, racial slurs thrown at them, and this is by the behest of Kari Lake. This is how she thinks people should be treated when she doesn't get what she wants.
On the other hand, was she wronged in this situation?
Kari Lake?
Yeah.
No, I mean, no, she should. That's the advantage.
Was she wronged? Just to be clear.
Oh, yeah. Yes, she was. She was wronged. Now, Kari Lake is, I hear, not going to accept her 30-minute interview because you know what? She fears taking questions for half an hour that she has to answer. So they both have their strength. They both have their weakness. I think Kari Lake was wronged by PBS.
Okay, I got to move on. We could keep talking about this for quite a while. Let's move on to the U.S. Senate race. Blake Masters, billionaire benefactor Peter Thiel apparently is committed to spending up to $5 million more in the last 3 weeks of the campaign. He's already spent $15 million to help Masters out. Is it too late for all that money in just 3 weeks to make an impact?
I think you're seeing the race tighten, and all of a sudden they're back in, right? So Thiel's back in, Mitch McConnell might be back in, and they're both trying to say, hey, I'll do it if you do it, and I think they're having trouble working that out.
Well, apparently Thiel is just going on his own because McConnell has said we're done.
Yeah, so, it's a clear sign that the race is tightening, and because he's just been practical with his money. Before it was a throwaway, now it's tight.
Practical, a billionaire practical with his money. Will it make an impact?
No, it will not. I mean, at this point, we know who Blake Masters is. There's nobody who doesn't know that he's an abortion extremist, that he's an election denier. And so, he has money to pour into it. Go for it. But I think Mark Kelly has done a good job of making sure no one forgets who Blake Masters really is.
Okay, I want to get this in before the segment ends. The city of Glendale's new ordinance banning panhandling. Mayor Jerry Weyers says the city was getting complaints from residents. We should also note the Super Bowl is in Glendale in 4 months. Yeah. Could these kinds of ordinances spread across the valley? There's a lot of people don't like panhandlers.
Well, homelessness is up overall dramatically over the last few years. Panhandling is a new reality. The problem with some of these laws is they violate free speech and freedom of movement. And so I don't know if they'll hold up in court. And so I think you will see them spread, but we'll see what is able to last.
See them spreading?
Yeah, I think that if we do end up seeing a Lake governorship and a GOP majority in both chambers, we will see a level of cruelty in Arizona and a violation of some of our most basic rights, like the First Amendment, that we have not seen. And I'm going back to Russell Pierce days. I'm going back to Jan Brewer days. We will see in Arizona that we have not seen before, where it's about punishment, not fixing problems.